Well, we've made it to Game 10 of the 2024 football season, Vol fans, and your Volunteers are 8-1, playing the 7-2 Georgia Bulldogs. This week in Athens, Georgia, it's a huge game, 7:30 kickoff. And I mean, Tennessee is ranked number 6 and Georgia's ranked number 11. So two really good football teams going to play each other in prime time this Saturday night. So let's talk about these two teams, okay? Tennessee's 8-1, like I said. Georgia's 7-2. Tennessee's played the 35th hardest schedule so far this season. Georgia's played the first. So, when I do this data, you have to put it, you have to correlate for that and say, even though maybe Tennessee looks better in some regards than Georgia does, factor in the fact that Georgia's played the number one strength of schedule so far in this football season. So last game, Tennessee won 33-14 over Mississippi State, a game in which Nico Iamaleava left at halftime due to, I think, a concussion is what has been reported. I don't know if that's official or unofficially, but he did leave the game, and they do. As far as Heupel's concerned, he said he'll be back this week, so that's great because we're not beating Georgia with their backup quarterback. It's not going to happen. Georgia just got blasted last week against Ole Miss, 28-10, and I didn't see that coming. I really thought Georgia would be much more competitive than that. Georgia was whipped on the line of scrimmage. They were all over Carson Beck. Georgia defensively just struggled to stop Ole Miss as well. I thought Lane Kiffin had a great game plan in that game. They ran into a buzzsaw. Georgia is favored by 8.5 points in this game. I think that's too high. I just don't think Georgia's that even though they're playing this game at home, I don't see it being at 8.5 points. But Vegas is, usually pretty dead on, so that kind of scares me that they have it that high. But we'll see what happens here. So let's talk about players to watch in this game. Let's start first with Nico Iamaleava for Tennessee. He's thrown for almost 1,900 yards this football season, 11 TDs, 4 interceptions. Nico has struggled a lot at times. He has played much better the last couple weeks, though. Carson Beck for Georgia, 17 TDs, 12 interceptions. He's thrown for almost 2,500 yards. He has racked up a lot of yardage. He has racked up a lot of stats, but he's also racked up a lot of interceptions. And he's cost his team some football games with his interceptions, especially the Alabama game. I think he had like 2 or 3 in that game. So, he's got to take care of the football better. For Tennessee, Dylan Sampson, he has already broke a 100-year record at the University of Tennessee that Jim McEver had with TDs in a season. He's got 20 TDs this season and over 1,100 yards rushing. He's basically our offense. He's our whole offense this year because we're just not throwing the ball very effective. So thank God for him and our defense. For Georgia, Dominic Lovett, 430 receiving yards, 3 TDs. He led them last week in receivings against Ole Miss. I think he's got the most receptions on this team so far. He does not lead the team in overall reception yards, but I think he's their most talented receiver, and I think he's the one they're going to try to get the ball the most to this week, in just my opinion. For Tennessee, James Pierce, 27 tackles, 5.5 sacks, and he's done most of his damage the last 3 or 4 weeks. He has just been all over the place, and I cannot say enough good things about him. He will be drafted he's a top 10 draft pick in my opinion. He'll be gone fast. Speaking of people that are going to be gone fast in the draft, C.J. Allen for Georgia, just a stud himself. He's just a sophomore, 49 tackles, 1 interception. He runs sideline to sideline, and he is a nuisance to offenses. So let's get to comparing the Tennessee offense versus the Georgia defense. Okay, total offense for Tennessee is 8th, 472 yards per game. A lot of those stats, though, were outside SEC competition. You have to factor that in. Total defense for Georgia, 13th, allowing 306 yards per game. Scoring offense for Tennessee, 15th, 38 points per game. Scoring defense for Georgia, 16th, allowing 18 points per game. Now, this Georgia defense is really good. They're not elite like they have been in the past, but they're still really, really hard to move the ball on, especially when you factor in the fact that we're going to be going there at night and playing them in that environment. It's going to be 10 times harder. Rush offense for Tennessee, 9th, 235 yards per game, having another great year on the ground with our rush offense and Dylan Sampson and company. Rush defense for Georgia, 21st, allowing 111 yards per game. Pass offense for Tennessee's 59th, 236 yards per game, and we're slipping farther and farther back this year. We've got to do better at throwing the football. We got to do better at catching the football. Pass defense for Georgia, 36th, allowing 196 yards per game. They're more susceptible this year than they have been in the past. They have had games where they've struggled. Tennessee defense versus the Georgia offense. Total defense for Tennessee, 5th, allowing 272 yards per game. Now, this is a very elite defense for Tennessee, and they're good at all three levels, defensive line, linebackers, and secondary, which I won't get into the stats here in a minute, but they are elite. Total offense for Georgia, 50th. They're averaging 411 yards per game. Very uncharacteristic of this Georgia offense this season. I can't believe with the offensive line that returned, Carson Beck returning, that they would struggle. Trevor Etienne, then picking him up out of the portal. Dominic Lovett, I thought was going to kind of turn a page this year and have a really great season. They've struggled. Scoring defense for Tennessee, 5th, allowing only 13 points per game. For Georgia, scoring offense, 48th, 31 points per game. Rush defense for Tennessee, 9th, allowing 100 yards per game. Now, let me say this real quick. We've done phenomenal all year on rush defense, but the past 2 games we've let 2 really bad teams at running the football run for over 150 yards. So Georgia can definitely run the ball on this defense if we don't fix some things. Rush offense for Georgia, 104th, 124 yards per game. Yeah, I know that does not look good, but the past 2 teams we played have been just as bad as they have, and they ran the football on us. So we got to stop that. If we can get Georgia in 3rd and long situations and make them one-dimensional, we can definitely win this game. Pass defense for Tennessee, 15th, allowing 172 yards per game. And this was the unit that we had the most questions on, the secondary, and they have answered the call, picking up Jermod McCoy out of the portal, Ricky Gibson stepping up, Boo Carter stepping up, and company stepping up. They have done a phenomenal job, and they were the last step that we had questions about them, and they've answered the bell, and they've made this defense elite at all levels. Pass offense for Georgia is 16th, 286 yards per game. Georgia's throwing more than they ever have because they can't run the football. They've really struggled. Trevor Etienne, Frazier, and company have not put up big numbers this season. And that really, I don't understand that, because basically the offensive line's coming back. These are just studs that came back, and they just can't run the football. So let's talk about turnover margin in this game. This is going to play a huge factor in who wins this football game, okay? Tennessee's 37th. They're +4 in turnover margin. Done a pretty good job winning that battle in the turnovers. Georgia is on the other side of this. Horrible. 88th. They're -3. Like I said earlier, Carson Beck has got 7 interceptions in 3 games this season, in just the last 3 games. And he's got 12 on the season, and that's the reason they got 2 losses. So let's get to the prediction in this game, okay? And this is a hard one to predict because in a lot of areas, Tennessee's better than Georgia, and I think in some areas, Georgia's better than Tennessee. Obviously, Ole Miss has the home field advantage, which is a huge, huge benefit of them, right? As far as Tennessee is concerned, I feel like Tennessee's defense is going to pretty much keep Georgia's offense in check. I think there's a major advantage with Tennessee's defense over Georgia's offense. This is not Georgia's offense that they've had the last 2 or 3 years with Brock Bowers and company. It's just not them. But Tennessee offensively, if you look at them in SEC play, though, they've really struggled to score points. I mean, we've been winning football games, barely scoring over 20 points. And you're telling me you think Tennessee can go into Sanford Stadium against a really good defense and put up over 20 points? I don't know. That's a tall task. Josh Heupel teams have really struggled at Tennessee at winning on the road. You look at South Carolina a couple of years ago. You look at the Arkansas game a month ago. I mean, losing to Arkansas on the road. I mean, Arkansas is awful. Losing to them. There's just no explanation on why we play so bad on the road. We're a whole other team at home versus away. So I had to factor all those things in when I make this prediction. But all those things, factored in, I think it's going to be hard to communicate down there. I feel like there's going to be a lot of pre-snap penalties on Tennessee. I think there's going to be probably some fumbles. We've struggled on taking care of the football here lately from Dylan Sampson. We got to protect Nico. I feel like Tennessee's offense is going to struggle in this game. I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like we're going to struggle. I do think we give Georgia's offense fits, and I think it's a really low-scoring game, but I just don't think Tennessee is going to score enough points to win this game. So I've got Georgia winning 20-17 in a very low-scoring game, Tennessee could definitely win this game too, and I hope I'm wrong. But I think Georgia wins it 20-17, and I'll talk to you guys later.